Welcome to another episode of Hobbies My Wife Hates. Today we're going to paint the new Executioners of Volitore. These miniatures were released recently this summer at Gen Con and are a great addition to your Shadows of Brimstone game setting. Not only are these large enemies capable fighters with their great axes, but they have the ability to steal memories by randomly taking die roll numbers from the player's ability to use them. So sit back and relax. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. Having primed the miniature black, I'm going to do a dry brush over the model to bring out all of the folds and edges and the surface. And here we're using Army Painter Matte White. All right. So now we see everything we've got to paint: axe, shaft, armor, legs, and his clothing along with a belt and some keys, and finally his skin. Now, first color we're going to use is Army Painter Deep Ocean Blue. And we're going to put that on with a brush. I have an airbrush, but honestly, I really don't know how to use it. I'm amazed at how some of these guys with airbrushes can get such good control. Need a smaller brush. One with a finer point on it. right. And now we'll let it dry. We're going to use some dark blue tone. And we're going to just apply it, see how it looks. All right, and we've got that wash on there, and we're going to let it dry. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a dry brush using Army Painter Night Sky. And the one place we're not going to do it is the inside here, because no light is hitting it. All right. And now we're going to do a final highlight with a mixture of the night sky and the griffin blue.
I'm just going to go and paint the folds and the edges of this cloak. And just a light feathering over these folds.
But not enough that it's a dry brush. Let that dry a few seconds. While we're doing that, we'll work on these folds. Getting his hood. And just a little bit more. At the top of his mask where the light would hit. And with that, you might revisit the cloak a little later, but I believe it's done. Or close to done. Everybody knows that the index finger is the best paint palette ever. It's a fact. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to paint the skin and the tentacles. And we're going to use Shamrock Green for this. And as you notice, when we primed it black and then highlighted with the white dry brush, all the muscle tone stays black, and it really helps these speed paint, like I said, Shamrock Green. Really enhances the paint. And then we get his tentacles. All right. And the skin is done. Okay, the next thing we're going to paint are metal areas. And we're going to use, in this case, Speed Paint, Army Painter Speed Paint Enchanted Steel. We'll get the axe blade. A little metal thing right above his hand, little spike. And we got a shoulder pad to do. And that just leaves his boots. And that's going to be it for now with the metal. Now, next step, we're going to do two things. We're going to start painting the rock, and we're going to paint the staff. And we're going to use some dark wood on the shaft of his weapon. And then while that's drying, we'll move on to another part of him, which is his pants. I'm going to use a deep gray for his pants. And here we just need to get just a little bit in there. It's not a lot. Now, we're going to work on his belt. We're going to use several different colors for the keys. We're going to use broadsword silver, hoplite gold, and talos bronze. With that, we're going to paint the keys. Being careful to go around the key ring because you can kind of see part of his rope that's holding, the keys handle go around. I don't want to get okay. And now we've got to do the belt buckle, or whatever you want to call it. All right. And there we have it. One area we failed to get was this. Right here. We're going to paint that bronze to stand out from the other metal on him. And the chain will be broadsword silver. We are going to use a wash on some of that metal. We're going to use soft tone. Kind of dull the brightness. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to paint the belt and the wrist wraps. And we're going to use hardened leather. That's another speed paint from Army Painter. Be careful not to get it on the skin. Here, this little metal area. And then we got to get the little belt. Now the next thing we're going to do is he's got these rivets holding, it's going to be, I guess, I'll call it his backpack or whatever you want to call it, on. He's got these rivets. I want to make sure we get them. I'm going to use gunmetal so that they're a little brighter than his shoulder pads. Okay, so we're done with the basic model, and now we got to work on his backpack, or whatever you want to call this thing. To me, it looks like a kind of like a face hugger from Aliens. And for that, we're going to use bony matter. Gonna give him a good base coat with this bony matter, and then we're gonna let it dry. Okay. While that's drying, let's work on the rock. Next, we're gonna do a dry brush of leather brown. And we got this small, tiny dry brush. I love this thing. We're going to give this rock a dark tone wash. And then we'll do another dry brush of the leather brown. And while that's drying, we're going to finish up the backpack, or the back thing, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it the face hugger. We're going to dry brush that with skeleton bone. And then we'll attach it to the back of the miniature. But now the rock is ready, so we'll take some desert yellow, and a little bit of leather brown, mix them together, and then we'll dry brush that. Next, we'll do a dry brush of desert yellow. A dry brush of skeletal bone. Skeleton bone. This we're just gonna try to get the edges. All that's left now is to base the miniature. And there we have it. This Executioner of Volitore, completely painted and ready to play. There we have it, the Executioners of Volitore. Game ready to play. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please like and subscribe.